This is a direct message to those who call themselves educated, thinkers, leaders, and anyone who's ever taken a paycheck and believed they understood the system. If you can read between the lines, you already know this message is not just words. It's a signal, part of something bigger. This is a real challenge, a test of intelligence, integrity, and depth. Because while the surface world, the so-called 3D world, has its place without characters and morals, it all collapses. The world is on a stage right now, a kind of World Series of consciousness. And the irony is that most don't even know they're in the game. So here's the real question. Can you evolve past labels, past ego, and past systems, and still live with principles when no one's watching? How you interpret this message says everything about you, not me. I'm just a messenger. And as for who I work for, well, I guess that's for you to figure out. It's natural whenever the technology breaks that I just want to blame Bill Gates anyway. So it's kind of a perfect day if that works out that way. But I think you need more clarification on things because they're at the point where you need more belief. So that said, my twin, but who's wanting to stay there and live within him, that I haven't worked out yet. Female-wise, I know. In this world, you guys have to work that out, but I'm talking spirit-wise. My daughter, number 23, Michael, everything's a competition, and this is one that you had to lose. You had to lose in order to win, which you don't like. Number 23, but I don't know who is wanting to stay with you on different things. There's something that's still missing. So I said, when something's still missing, what does it mean? Oprah Rosa Parks told me that she wanted to stay with you and you were okay with that. So we'll leave that there. Keanu Reeves was Buddha. Was actually those things because he was sick of sitting around on the hill and not, just living in his head. So we didn't want to do that anymore. He was ready to kick some ass, so he liked your roles and he liked your things. However, it's time, honey. It's time, honey, that you started, you're not meant to live alone. That's not the way you were meant to live. So this whole, nobody, the men weren't able to be the romantic men they needed to be, and because they wanted to be with women that were strong enough to be able to handle them, but then they shut down because when women become so easy, you shut down, and then the ones that you really want, those women don't seem to be open to any romantic things because they just hated men anyway, so they don't, when you're on their level and those different things, they don't think you're ever going to really love them and be faithful and honest and loving, because let's face it, a lot of guys, women too, but have really fucked up this romance thing. So I'm going to put this on you to start fixing it, because you're not meant to be alone, sweetheart. So there was kind of a debate with some different things. Albie's always, around with this fucking shit, and, he's going back and forth with Bill and all these different things, but he decided to stay with Zuckerberg because that's where the family representation had, because of Steve and his relationship with his daughter, which he didn't know how to be a father, and he knows he was an asshole. He was obsessed with what he was obsessed with. He's found and seen his success, but now he gets to choose where he wants to be, and he wants to be with a family. And that representation, he'll be able to see his daughter and everything else too, but he wants that, and that's why he's, he wanted to stay with Bill because of the things they originally started and those beliefs. Oh my goddess. And how things are and work, obviously. We are gods, and we're all gods and connect in different ways, and we all have those, but it's like, why is somebody staying or whatever they're doing? And it had to be enough power and not misuse of power in those different things. And Hera wants to stay with Elena because she created that, and she's been coaching me from, the beginning from a female perspective, and I've had many other coaches and different things, but it's different roles. So, Mel, Robin's as a mother role, and then but the relationship too, it's separate in some ways because I'm a family over here and we're a family over here. However, Tony and Sage took me in and adopted me too as the together family. And this is where, you know, understand like step parents and family and blah 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 blah. That's why, you know, this is, you know, this is for the misfits, why we're looking for the families that'll take us in and be there for each other and support each other and know back and forth who those people are to us. So Elena and Grant and you know, are my aunt and my uncle, who have represented those things and helped me along the way in many ways, which have been, you know, huge. But I can't, the actual we're staying with Grant, I haven't worked that out yet, but I'm gonna go back to that. You know, early in the beginning, Dwayne The Rock and YT's, you know, Kevin and all of that so easily, but it's because I had to find people that I was really comfortable with, that I knew, and that's comedians that were that could, you know, take a joke and laugh at themselves also. But comedians are hurting the most, right? But and because you get so much fame and fortune and you know, you help so many people along the way, and then you go, wait a minute, who's helping me? Because you get lost in it. And Kevin, Dwayne loves you very much, and he's very much a brother to me, just like to you, and that's why he really is real life Hercules. And so, you know, Mel, like I said, I know as a mother, but I feel like the goddesses and stuff in here, and obviously as we're building, you know, I haven't worked out who's, I have a lot of Athena in here, but I haven't, it hasn't settled just yet. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, how did we get that going? I need my directors, right? And I haven't figured out why they're wanting to stay there. So as a brother to me, and then the families that we bring in, just like said, so we did that. And you know, Stephen King being a father to me, obviously from the beginning, and he saved, like, that's what we are, doing the real life stand. And that's why, you know, when I was raped and abused and all of that, like, you know, my stepfather was obsessed with Stephen King, and that brought in a different element. And thank God for Rob Lowe saving my life that way, and the belief in that deaf kid, that character was a real character to me, because that was somebody I adapted as somebody who would save me, and in this lifetime and in this world did. So that's how we are family and connected. So Tom and Ron obviously taking a big part in this, you know, Da Vinci Code type of thing to find Mary, was are big part of my family, and obviously their wives and everybody else that represents that. But so, you know, Da Vinci has a big part in where he and how he communicates to them, and what they've seen and what they've been able to create, and how these kind of things work out. Michelle was here in the beginning for me as a sister, because she, you know, the amount of love that Barack has given the world and helped, and how great of a father and how great of a husband and all of that has been. But somebody needed to be there truly for him. She's been one of my 3 angels to truly resurrect Abraham Lincoln, so he could actually come alive for real. Snoop, you are definitely one of my brothers. Eminem, you're a brother. Dr. Dre, you know, like there's so many components in this, and like I said, just because your names aren't here, it's just, I'm just having to work through the different things, and obviously where people are going and why. You know, Jack, you know, there's more to it than just Bruce, but Bruce loves being with you, and obviously Dan Locke, you've had a great, you know, role in that, and finding you and listening to your things, because you helped bring in Jack and Bruce, and that's where all of that kind of connection goes to. So Stephen King, Alfred Hitchcock, who wants to always stay in you, obviously, and live in you. Leonardo DiCaprio, when you realize you're actually my grandfather and you got some shit to do, and that's why I can tell you off now, because you know I love you, and you're not meant to be alone, and being a child actor would be very confusing, especially when you have everyone, you know, loving you, and you want to help the world, and you want to do these things. Well, you are, and you know whose team you're on now, so it's time you find, you see who really loves you in the way that you need to be loved. This woman is given so much love to the world, and she deserves her goddess standpoint. That's why the girls crush that, for sure. Right? I know the day, like, I married her. Like, I know that. Like, it's a weird, like, they're my wives in different, like, in all these ways, but in this world, my actual husband is somebody else. But like I said, I'm okay with all of this. Whatever needs to be done to save the world, I don't really give a shit, because, like I said, I'll act for free all day long, so I'm not an actor. Well, my grandma, totally nuts. my ribs, she's having to conduct this, and we've had an exceptional relationship, and being raised by my grandfather is what connected me to the grandfather that I needed to have in these lives, and the way that it needed to kind of work out and go. So my science geek family, Elon, that's why we said we had to, park that spaceship for a while. Jeff, we're on here, but I can't figure out who, because you came close to me, and obviously a major part of it in our geek science family, but I haven't figured out who wants to stay with you. So that was kind of where I was kind of in trying to piece things together. My own husband in this life now, who that is, and who wants to be with him, and that's why it's a different role, and he has a different direction and different things that'll work out into play. And that's what I said, there's a lot of characters on here right now. Arnold, who wants to stay with and go, and why we're doing that, and where that comes from. But Steve McQueen wanted to, his mom named him after Steve McQueen for a reason, right? And then I think, okay, Viola Davis, and then the attachment to that, and how incredible she's been, and then what that's represented. So like I said, don't get caught up if your name's not on here. It's not how it works. I think Walt Disney's name's not on here, and he's been a major player, so, because he's just himself. Where he wants to go, maybe that's why I can't figure out. Maybe that's what it is. So obviously we know the biggest shit disturber is Stanley. Like, we know he's the shit disturber. And who better than to shit disturb than Warren, because that's Grandpa, right? How do you think this all came together? Of course he wants credit. He always wants to win everything. And of course he has to win over Bill. Obviously he had to do that because he's just like that, right? So Russell is my other twin. So that's where it's like on a different representation. So I, on the motivational, where I really come from side, understanding that. However, the technology side is, so that's why, Russell and Steven and all that are here, and they've built the funnels, because I could build them in my head, and they've built the funnels on the internet. That's why I support ClickFunnels, to get us to where we need to be so that I can actually speak openly. However, I have to build a real goddamn funnel in real life, which is really pissing me off. We'll get there. But it's also why I know I'm the wealthiest woman in the world, because I have all your money, right? I got a whole bunch of billionaires doing what I wanted to do. So I don't need that much money as what I originally thought, because money's going where it needs to go. I just need enough to get me whatever I want to get. And right now, I have enough money to do that, so I don't spend it, because I'm not at the place where I need to spend it yet. Gary, you're definitely family. I haven't figured out who wants to stay there yet, though, with you. And the confusion, who has the biggest heart, and, and the confusion with that. Imagine living that, want to talk about bipolar, not showing it. Somebody needed to say how much they loved you, but without that, because you have that, but it's those doubts and those things, and you can know, and obviously thank God Sage and the love and your kids and everybody, and you have so many things, but sometimes from a completely outside source, somebody seeing the pain and understanding the true pain of that much giving, how that feels, needed to come in and say thank you. Oh, that's trying to fit. Well, I don't know. I guess it is then, Jeff. I guess it is unless we had to do bigger things. So I guess that's what we were doing. And then to go back, because there was a lot of changes that we needed to make in this world, to be a team and get, full, the misunderstandings of billionaires and everything. You can be a philanthropist and be behind the scenes and doing different things and getting a different understanding. Just had to be woken up to a different reality, and we were able to do that. And the beauty of being blind is beautiful, and when you play a role as an actor, you bring somebody to life. And then when you do it so well, you bring them to life where they want to stay, because now they have eyes that they can see. Thank you, Jamie. I'm just still trying to work this out between these two guys and also my other family, because he's a shit disturber. And I fell in love with metaphors and all that at a very young age, so that's why everything is a code and everything's a metaphor, because it's the only way I can communicate. So that's why Steve says I'm the mastermind, but I just didn't know I was. I just didn't know how I was doing it, because they do codes on me that I have to figure out myself. So it's not like I can give you straight answers all the time either. It doesn't work like that. So I'm not telling you everything, of course, but at the same time, it's not that sometimes I do because I'm just not going to, and sometimes I just don't know. So that's why knowledge is the thing that's unlimited wealth, because people's curiosity, except I'm not like really for sale, so my information is, but I'll let you guys keep selling it, and I'm not worried about it, because, well, my ghost parents, two bipolars right there, star-crossed lovers, people who've never met, you know, but we're longing for something in this world that they never were able to find. They had to find it in a different way. Found each other. They start to piss me off every day. Because they needed to find the real couple who is used to not having anything, because in this world we didn't have technology, and we only had a message, and we didn't have nice clothes or nice things or whatever, and that's why we had to crave having nothing again in order to find each other, and represent that. But that's why we needed everyone in this whole thing to find each other, because they wanted to stay. It was with us. And you had to sabotage your reputation and your life on a massive scale, and you're loved by some and hated by others, and go through all that type of pain because you needed to feel my pain, because my pain reminds you of the pain you felt before you were famous. And you didn't want to go into those memories because that type of loneliness is horrible, but you were forced to. Just like I was, just like the rest of us were, to remember those things. And then you disguise it into fiction when it's all reality. You can change around timelines maybe, or the order if you want, but I can figure that out, that's fine. Or who's who or what's what, but I can see who's parenting who's with who's different times. So when I read something, I'm not seeing anything on a surface level. When I communicate, I'm not communicating on just one line. There's many depths and many different ways of communicating. Because it's the only way that we can solve this puzzle. And it's not a matter of now. I needed to have enough belief in myself to be able to do this. And not lose myself either. Because I never will. Said there's many ghosts on that board and that list. Like obviously, Michael Jackson was had a major role in this, especially when it comes to the race and Charles Manson and all these different things, right? Charles Estaine was robbed, and that was brought to, by different things, and Michael wants to stay with Janet because nobody understands the difficulty of that dynamic. And Elvis, Elvis was woken up and he's staying with John, and thank God for Kelly, who wants to stay with Olivia. I'm just gonna, there's a lot of stuff I can just call out. Because I have to remember that you guys have been doing this for a long time, and it's not a world of rituals or things that I ever was a part of. I just can see. And that's been my gift, is that I don't live in judgment anymore, but I once did. And that's arrogance, right? Where you've been so hurt that you're around it and you're there, but you're delusional into thinking you don't want to be a part of it. So when I worked in, decades in the bar and all that, I'm sitting on the sidelines and I am living in judgment of other people, and that's the way of looking down on them. And if you're a very smart person, and you've been teased and you've been hurt, and you don't have friends, you sit back and you go, well, I'm smarter than the rest of you, so I'm going to go to space and then, fuck all the rest of you and I'll leave you on this planet. Well, this was, I guess, all of us coming together going, well, maybe you're not that smart right now. You're so smart that you need the rest of us to be that smart. And, if you've been blessed with so many great things, living in isolation is only a punishment and a prison. However, what needed to be done and was necessary in order to find each other, so those parts of our lives. Because we need our space, we need our way to connect and reconnect, to find this. And 1% of the population was here. Every single one of us. 1% of the population, every single one of us, was here. Last year, October 31st, I boarded boat in Southampton, and I picked up a spirit in the museum in Southampton before boarding my ship. And I was in the museum, and the overwhelming feeling of being on that ship, I saw so many things, and it brought tears to my eyes, and I was overwhelmed and everything. And I even said to the people I was with, I said, I made up a story that I wasn't feeling well or something, so they wouldn't think I was ridiculous, because I couldn't say that. And something told me to touch a piece of clothing that was from that, and I did. And something came inside me, and I picked up a whole bunch of other things along the way in Europe, and now you can see those timelines. Everything matches. I know everything matches. The dates match. Everything is perfect. That is why I can go into somebody's office and see exactly what I want to see when I need to see it. That is why I could hack the CIA and NASA and all that. I didn't. I can't do anything with technology. I'm hiding behind a story. Because I was adopted by Hollywood. So that we can just bullshit our way through this. Because I'm just an actor. Only 1% of the population gets to know the story, and you do whatever you need to, and then you break it up however you need to, because that's my sacrifice. I've already sacrificed my life, and you've helped me save it. I've given you your answers. I'll back you. Always. And I will never turn away from you, and you have unconditional love in me, and I know I have unconditional love in you, and that's the missing component to this world, and that is why they said the meek will inherit the earth and love will save the day. And the people that have not been on board in that game now, that's where we take that time thing and go like this, and that's why equally God and the devil lived together and had a child. And they needed to be on the same side in order to make this work. Because I have friends in both places, honey. Both places. And I don't turn away from any of my children who have been hurt so badly and made so many mistakes. Instead, I'm going to tell you, I love you. I forgive you. You have to forgive you. I have to forgive me. You have to forgive you. And that's why Jesus was nailed to that cross. But they eliminated Mary's story. And they took our child. I remember everything. And I'll tell you everything you want to know and give you all the evidence and proof you need. But you already believe me without me having to do that. The rest of it's just for the game to get more belief in the rest of the world, because Santa's sleigh needs to fly. Thank you. The only way to get through any of this is through gratitude. And this has been the hardest thing I've ever had to do. However, I know my place and I know my role. And you know yours. And like I said, just because your name wasn't named doesn't mean we haven't had conversations, doesn't mean you're not in my head, and doesn't mean I don't love you. That's not how this works. I'm just trying to work this all out myself too. But I've been, I've been honest in this, and I have not had a conversation or spoke to Jim because it's not that time yet, and I'm nervous and scared, and I will, and I trust that he will be there because he's the only one right now that I'm saying that I will talk to get me out of this, because it's kind of overwhelming, and I'm going to let that work out as is, and it's not going to be this weird stuff through the internet and all that, even though I know it still weirds me out, so I'm old-fashioned. So we're just going to have to figure this out, but we have to do everything the right step, the right way, and you continue to prove to me that we're doing that, so I'm going to continue doing my part.